Now our retro review of Wolf in the Fold after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in this episode of the original series, we have a situation where Scotty is accused of murdering two, maybe three women, and the effects of which it takes to get him off. I don't really go along with the whole basis of beginning the episode. They decided to give Scotty some shore leave on Argelius as kind of a medical prescription for the fact that he suffered a concussion in engineering caused by a woman somehow. This is probably one of the more sexist of the original series episodes because in a couple of places, first of all, there was a woman that caused the problem of Scotty having the problem to begin with of the concussion, and so they're trying to take him to a place that looks kind of like a brothel so he will regain his confidence in women. That doesn't look to be the way that you would do that. If someone who is an officer is caused him to have an accident, the way to solve that is to take him to some place where women are romantically inclined. I'm not quite sure about all this. Interestingly, though, in the set itself, in the beginning scene, it is almost a complete duplicate of the set that they used in The Cage and later in The Menagerie, in which Captain Pike, in an illusion, was watching a dancing girl perform, an Orion girl. Now, in this case, the dancer was not Orion, but the set, everybody in it seemed to be very much the same, with the exception of putting Kirk, Bones, and Scotty in that place. Kind of interesting there. Otherwise, it's a foggy night, but obviously done with a smoke machine, so it's kind of ground fog and kind of moving around besides that. So I won't take too much away from that, since that's just an inexpensive special effect that could be done to indicate some difference. So we're not going to worry about that. But the other things do concern me a lot is that the procedures by which Scotty is accused, and we can give some of this to the fact that the society is so peaceful that they don't have really much of a police presence or justice system. And so a lot of unorthodox kinds of things can happen in order to try to determine someone's guilt or innocence. And the idea of having the prefect's wife as kind of a seer is also reasonable enough. But beyond this, it all was kind of silly. Once again, it's somebody from Earth that caused the problem, Jack the Ripper, and with the reveal of who Jack the Ripper is, it goes against everything so far that we've seen, where instead of the lights going out and somebody else being murdered, he basically reveals himself. And I think that this is just a way in order to get out of the episode. Surprising that if D.C. Fontana was still the script editor at this point, that got past her. And secondly, it's kind of sloppy writing. I don't know that it really put Scotty in a very good light. I don't think that it really told us anything that would be really much of a Star Trek story. This is just kind of a monster of the week. Monster gets loose, kills people, frames somebody for it. We find out who the monster is. It frees everybody up, and everybody's fine, except, of course, for the people that are dead. And because of that, I don't recommend the episode much. The only thing that I find interesting about it is just the opening set. And after that, you can look at that, and if you're familiar with how the cage was, you can kind of compare notes on that. But I don't like the way they use the computers. Of course, in those days, personal computers were unheard of, and so this whole idea that you can search a memory bank and they don't find anything until you tell it specifically what to look for is not the experience that we have with computers these days. They had no way of knowing that. Their whole idea of being able to do a mind scan is something that does not quite follow with other stories, which the Klingons had a way of doing a mind scan, but it left not much left. And then that didn't indicate that there was such technology in the Federation in subsequent stories. So this was just kind of handy to have along that they would be able to do that, and never really gotten around to do it anyway. They went ahead to the regular trial where they just had the computer say, is he lying or not? And they say no physiological changes, which is essentially a current lie detector. So with that, I don't find much to recommend about this episode. It's also, once again, where the captain is saying, well, I know this place, it's got women that are so and don't say so what, and I'm glad they didn't. But otherwise, I think that it is one of those kind of things that was appealing as a 60s era story, but does not date. Well, it dates itself quite a bit and does not follow into this century as that good a story. So, there have to be a few clinkers here and there, do they not? So I'd like to know what you think about this. Perhaps you have a different opinion. I'd certainly like to hear it. Put it below. And while you're there, if you have not subscribed or clicked a like button on the channel, please do so. We would appreciate that greatly. And so until next time, don't go far.